Good morning. Today on Spotlight, get ready for America's other political party. The GOP countdown to the virtual Republican National Convention is underway. Can they top the Democrats? We'll ask the leader in charge of Michigan's Republican Party, Chair Laura Cox. And later on our Sunday morning program, we'll find out how the Black United Fund of Michigan is doing under COVID-19 as it celebrates a historic year, its 50th anniversary. It's Sunday, August the 23rd. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Madam Chair, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Chuck.
Good. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of rest because you're getting ready to go into some exciting week. I imagine you've caught at least some of the Democrats' convention, if not all of it. As the old game show host would say, how do you top that?
We're going to be much better. You know, this has been a long, kind of boring, flat infomercial. And we're excited for the Republicans and our great president and leaders from across the country, Republican leaders, to talk about the president's vision and his direction and his track record of successes that have positively impacted the people of Michigan and the people across the country.
Republicans are fighting for citizens from every background, every community, and every walk of life. We are the party of boundless optimism, excitement, energy, and enthusiasm.
There's no better man to lead our country for the next 4 years than President Trump. He has a track record of successes that have affected families, especially here in Michigan, and their businesses and their livelihoods across the state, whether it's talking about trade policies that he's fought for, you know, the USMCA. He fought to make sure that that got passed, that it directly affected businesses across the country and across here in Michigan in agriculture and manufacturing sectors. He's brought jobs under his policies back to Michigan, and he will continue to do that. He wants to make sure that he defends the police so people know that they have safe neighborhoods, that the police officers across the country and here in Michigan know that he's got their back and he supports them, and that people know that their neighborhoods and their communities will be safe under his leadership. He has tax reforms that positively affect people's lives, and he wants to continue to build on that so people know that they have more money in their pocketbook, their hard-earned money. They can decide how they want to spend it, not give it to the government. The
Democrats certainly this past week tried to frame whether or not he should be reelected on a referendum of COVID-19, a referendum of the economy and race relations. Are those the same issues that we're going to hear addressed in the Republican National Convention, but maybe from a different perspective?
Absolutely, from a different perspective. You know, the president came out strong on the economy. This is just a little blip. We're working our way back in the economy, and under his strong leadership, we will be better and stronger for it. You know, he wants to bring America First policies. He's fighting for American workers. And in Michigan, we're feeling that each and every day. And we know under his leadership, America will continue to be great.
A lot of focus on women and the role that women will play, certainly at the top of the ticket, with Kamala Harris as the vice presidential nominee pick, running with Joe Biden. What position does that put your party in with Mike Pence on the ticket? Do you wish that you had a woman in that number 2 position now, or do you feel like, oh no, the 2 guys can handle this and maybe too much is being made of the female issue here?
Well, I just say this. Kamala Harris is a very extreme liberal, far leftist from California. She's out of touch with the Midwest, and she's out of touch with Michigan. And people need to know what she stands for. She stands for the Green New Deal, which would decimate our economy here in Michigan. It would decimate our manufacturing and agricultural sectors. That's what she stands for. She wants to increase taxes. She wants to take away employer-provided health care. You know, we have workers across the state that have made negotiations. They've given up concessions of wages or time off to make sure that they and their families had good, solid health care. She wants to take that away and have the government run it. So I think people need to know what Kamala stands for, what she's about, and that's what Joe Biden's about. And so we're going to talk about that and continue to talk about why we need to support the president and Vice President Pence.
How important of a role do you think women will play in this election when it comes to November and people go into the polls, whether it's the top of the ticket or it's the down ballot races issues? What role do you think women will play? Will they potentially decide who wins and who loses?
Well, I think women are important, of course, an important sector. I'm a woman. I think it's very important to talk about Republicans and Republican leadership and why it's important to elect them up and down the ballot. And I think women know that it's important to have a strong economy. They want to have good jobs. They want to have tax reform so that they have more money in their pocket. Oftentimes, most women run the checkbook for the family. They run the budget, and they want to make the decisions that they want to spend the money on. They don't want to give it away to the government. And so I think some of the things that the president has done and will continue to do are things that women are going to want. And they want to have safe neighborhoods. They want to be able to have their children walk safely to the school bus or play out in the neighborhoods. He supports the police. They know that it's important to have a safe economy, a safe community, so that businesses will want to live there, move there and have their workers live there. And so that the schools will be strong. The basis of government is to provide a safe community. That's one of the earmarks of what a government is supposed to do. And we want to make sure that every community feels safe and all the people that live in those communities feel safe. And the president wants to make sure that happens too.
All right, Madam Chair, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of these down ballot races. Certainly, Democrats are saying they want to win back the Republican House control that we see going on there in Lansing right now. And we'll talk about some of these congressional races. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Coming out of the Michigan primary, you saw the results there. What are you optimistic about when you looked at those results and say, okay, we're now positioned to do battle in November? What put a big smile on your face?
Well, I'm excited to see our team. I'm excited to wrap my arms around our team and fight to make sure that they're victorious in November. That's what I do as the party chair. And we're working really hard. I did a tour over on the west side of the state to meet with people like Peter Meyer, who's running in the 3rd. We want to take that seat back. And, met with Rep. Huizenga as well as Rep. Upton and talked to folks on the ground who are really excited to make sure that we get Republicans elected. And I'm excited to continue to do that each and every day until November 3rd.
Laura Cox, Republicans have been in control of the Michigan legislature for so long, I almost can't remember the last time Democrats had the upper hand there. But only 4 votes. If Democrats get that, it'll flip. What are you doing to make sure that doesn't happen? Because I'm sure you don't want to lose that power in either house.
Well, we're working really hard. We have 80 people embedded across the state, and we'll build on that. We've reached 4 million voter contacts thus far, and we're building on that each and every day. We're talking to voters on why they need to support Republicans and the policies. The governor is a stiff arm, the 148 elected officials across the state. She's been going it alone when she's been handling this pandemic. That's absolutely wrong. And we're working and talking to people to make sure that they know that they need to elect Republicans for that strong voice in Lansing to speak for them because they're not being heard right now.
What about the Senate race? You have Peters versus John James. If John James wins, that would be historic for this state, the first African-American U.S. Senator from the state of Michigan. He ran last time around. He did pretty well, but he didn't quite get the brass ring. Do you feel he can grab it and win it this time?
Oh, absolutely. He is an electrifying candidate. I'm going to say that all day long. He's a businessman. He's a job provider. He signed both sides of the check. He understands what Michigan is all about. He dedicated his life to service. He was a combat veteran, unlike Gary Peters, who's been 30 years in office and nobody can point to anything he's been doing of any substance into Michigan. John James is the strong voice that we need. We're aching for in the U.S. Senate, and we know that we'll get him there. He's within striking distance. The polls have been showing that he's within the margin of error. He's a strong candidate, and he's going to continue to fight. We're going to make sure we're right there with him through November so that we can celebrate victory together.
You're from Wayne County, but you certainly have been close enough to be able to watch Oakland County. Oakland County has been changing. It's not the L. Brooks Patterson Republican county that it was for a long period of time. A lot more Democrats in there, and you now have a county executive who is a Democrat, and he wants to be able to retain that seat.
Well, we're just going to continue to talk about what's important to us. We want to make sure that we have fiscal conservatives in office, people that are speaking for the voters. We want to make sure that people are talking about less government, more freedoms, and we're going to continue to talk about what's important to Republicans, what's important to families and businesses across the state, especially in Oakland County. And we feel our message will be heard. And we're excited to pick that executive seat up as well.
Conversely speaking, over in Macomb County, the bread and butter county, they sometimes vote for Democrats for president, sometimes they vote for Republicans. A lot of people feel as though it's been shifting a little more towards the Republicans in the last few elections. What do you have to do to be able to make sure that that stays a red county for you?
Well, we're going to spend a lot of time there. The president's never forgot Macomb County. It's a very special place to him. Listen, he fights for the American worker. He is an American first policy president and will continue to do that. And in Macomb County, they love that. They love how rough and tumble he is, how strong he is. They love that he doesn't mince words. He says it like he hears it and sees it. And that's important. And voters love that. They may not like what he says, but they may not like the way he says it, but they like what he says. And so he does very well in Macomb County. We want to continue to make sure we get the vote out in Macomb County to deliver a victory for the president.
Two major parties in this state, both of them headed up by women. What significance does that bode for you? Ronna
McDaniel, who's the chair of the RNC, is a woman, and I'm lucky enough to be her friend, as well as learn a lot from her, watching her lead Michigan. She was the Republican Party chair. We had Susie Avery, we had Betsy DeVos. I'm proud of the Republican leadership for our state party. We've had great men as well, Ron Weiser, Bobby Shostak, Saul Newses. Everybody's unique and different. I know that I bring my skills and my talents here, and I love it. I have a great team, strong leaders, and we continue to work really hard to make sure that we are servicing our candidates to make sure that they have all the support they need to be successful in November. That's our number one job.
Madam Chair, quick final question. Are you totally convinced that come just a few weeks from now in November, when people head into the polls, that Michigan is clearly going to be a battleground state?
Absolutely. We're working really hard. We're continuing to work hard. It is definitely a pathway for victory for the president. He's never forgot Michigan, and he will continue to be invested in Michigan. Like I said, we have 80 people invested, and we continue to work each and every day to make sure that we get Republicans like John James elected in November.
All right. Madam Chair, such a pleasure talking with you. Good luck with your virtual convention, and we'll stay tuned as well, and we'll get you back soon.
Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate it.
And coming up, we'll talk to Ken Donaldson and Mark Perry of the Black United Fund of Michigan Incorporated. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Ken Donaldson. He is president and CEO of the Black United Fund of Michigan. And also with him is Mark Perry. He is marketing director of the same organization. Gentlemen, good having you with us today. Since COVID hit, which has just wreaked havoc with everybody and made everybody get more creative and retool, what impact has it had on your organization, an organization that I should say has been around now for 50 years?
Chuck, that's a good question. Since this COVID pandemic has hit, our organization has really had to reorganize and come up with innovative ways to stay sustainable. A major portion of our fund development is through special events. All of our special events were canceled this year. That just devastated our revenue, our incoming revenue. Mm-hmm. While at the same time, we had to convert all of our programs to a virtual platform. So do the math. Well, we had an increase in expense and a decrease in fund development.
Sure.
So we're coming up with innovative ways to continue to raise the resources that we need
To keep
to
your
help our
programs
youth in the
going.
community.
Absolutely. Well, that's where Mark Perry comes in as the marketing director. You've got to put that super creative hat on. What kind of conversations have you had with Ken and the board and the organization to be able to say, okay, we've been around for 50 years. We want to make sure we're around for another 50 years, so we aren't going to just close the door. We're going to figure out how to make this work.
Well, the first step needed to happen was that we needed to make sure that these programs could make a pivot as well and function in this environment. And Ken and the team has done an excellent job of being able to replicate all the programs that we have from a live standpoint, of being able to do it from a virtual standpoint. That was number one, and continuing to be relevant in this environment. Then the next part, obviously, is that we really need the funding, and this time of year is a time that all hands are on deck. We've got a three-tiered plan to reach out to the community, to get people involved, and to let them know about Buf. Because it has been around for 50 years, and because its programming in the very beginning was really about payroll deductions and helping other entities, it made a pivot about 5 years ago that we're still getting the word out that Buf is actually doing these programs. And so now that we're doing things online, like we're doing this here today, we're doing these same kind of things with young people where the focus is right now.
Right. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to drill down on that, because you guys are doing an awful lot with young people, trying to get that next generation going. And I also want to talk to you, both of you, about this thing that we keep hearing, Black Lives Matter, which some people think is sort of new slogan, but for you guys, it takes you way back. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back. Ken Donaldson, you have a lot of programs designed for youth. There's the Silas Normal, Medical Scholars, the Exploratory Academy, and a host of others. Why are these programs so important as you look towards the future of what Buf wants to do?
These programs are extremely important because we believe in our mission of youth empowerment, which empowers our youth to achieve their career aspirations. Our program for youth is called EYES. EYES is the acronym for Empowering Youth for Everyday Success. And we have several programs to expose youth to different career fields that they may have never even thought of entering. One of the programs that we're excited about is our aviation program. The youth, first time in the program, they co-pilot a two-seater plane over metropolitan Detroit, and their lives are never the same. Our medical program, the Cyrus Norman program, we're in partnership with Wayne State University School of Medicine. And when the youth graduate from this program, they get their white medical jackets and medical pins, and they're really excited. So we have financial literacy, entrepreneur training, Achieve and Accelerate, a careers program. And so we believe in the 4 E's: expose, experience, educate, and empower. We believe after we take our youth through these 4 E's, they're ready to take on the world.
Mark Perry, we hear the term Black Lives Matter. When I go to Buf's website, it's up there as well. But it's up there in a historical perspective. As someone who deals extensively with the branding and the marketing, talk about the historical significance and how this has been a priority for Buf before the term ever became popular.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is actually the foundation of why Buf was even created. Back in 1970, when this became, Buf became to itself, when it was designed and developed by Brenda L. Rayford, who was a founder, in that it came right on the heels of 1967 of reaching out to the community, of giving people more self-worth of what they're doing and more focus of programs that could help people in this community. It was really about Black Lives Mattering at the very beginning. So that continues on. And so it's just interesting that 50 years later, and that you're right, it's a kind of a marketing phrase, if you will, but it does connect us to the foundations of this organization.
Ken Donaldson, what's the next chapter for Buf as you look and try to develop where you want to be 20, 30, 40 years from now and make sure that it's still around for everybody?
We're looking to expand our youth empowerment programs to touch more and more youth each year. But this year we are doing something extra special. We extended that youth empowerment arm to reach the foster care youth as well. So we now are launching our foster care programs, and we're also including more foster care programs in the programs that we have presently.
Mark Perry, I know at one point before COVID hit, the Black United Fund had a big anniversary celebration plan. You've had to change and obviously pivot and make some real significant differences from that. How do you celebrate 50 years under COVID?
We're going to take our time and take a whole year to do it, actually. We're going to get together in October. We're going to have a virtual celebration, just a kind of a reflection of this year. But because the 50th really means so much of a major accomplishment for any organization, let alone Buf, being a nonprofit here in Detroit, is that we're going to, in 2021, is going to be the actual 50th celebration. So we're going to extend it out to then, but this year we will have a virtual celebration. We're looking to do we're putting the final touches on some really fun stuff that we're going to be doing on October 17th. More to come about that.
Right, and we should, quick last word, Ken Donaldson, we should emphasize the fact that although you're based in Southeast Michigan, that you service this entire state, correct?
Yes, Chuck, we're the Black United Fund of Michigan. Our acronym is Buf of Michigan. We service the community, and we believe in our mission to help the underserved and the underrepresented in our community, that these young people can now have a chance of having a successful life. So we're excited about moving in the future. We're excited about the youth and the experience that they are experiencing. And we're just motivated to continue to do what we do to just a much higher level.
Well, you're obviously meeting the challenge. Ken Donaldson, Mark Perry, thanks so much for joining us today on Spotlight. We'll keep tabs with you, and we'll all get through this together.
Thank you.
And I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. We hope you have a great week.